everybody. Hello everybody. Today I have a cooking recipe for you guys because I know that a lot of people were like, do more cooking videos, do more recipes, so I have one for you. If you read the title, you know that we're gonna be making curry shrimp. I normally just make curry shrimp with white rice, so I made the white rice ahead. I also peeled and deveined the shrimp ahead and seasoned it just so that this process can move faster. Now I'm just gonna show you guys what the ingredients are. You'll need 4 cloves of garlic, 1 bundle of scallions, 1 whole onion, a piece of ginger but not too large because ginger is very overpowering, potatoes, as many as you like, thyme, 1 whole red sweet pepper, 2 cans of coconut milk. I don't think that the brand matters, brown sugar, black pepper. If I had a Scotch bonnet pepper or a pimento pepper, I would use that in place of the red pepper flakes. An all-purpose seasoning or all-purpose seasonings of your choice. Again, because I didn't have the fresh pepper, I'll be using cayenne pepper to add spice as well. Garlic powder. The star of the show, Jamaican curry powder. Butter. You can also substitute for oil or use unsalted butter as well. The shrimp, peeled and deveined and seasoned. I use this combination of seasonings to season the shrimp. If you've seen my rasta pasta video, this pot will be very familiar to you. Well, let's get started. My choice of side dish today is cauliflower and broccoli, and I know a lot of people don't like vegetables, so I'm going to show you how I season them. Trash bowls are good to keep around when you're cooking if you're a messy cooker like I am. I sometimes prefer these vegetables without these seasonings on it, but I know that my family likes it better with the seasoning on it, which is understandable. I mean, not everyone's gonna love vegetables. It's pretty simple how to cook them. You put them in the frying pan with a little bit of water and butter and let it steam. There's no cutting necessary for the garlic, just smash it with the back of the knife. I already cut the peppers and the onions. If you want to see how to do it, refer to my rasta pasta video. I personally love potatoes in my curry. I only had 2 at the time that I was doing this, but usually I'd probably put like 4. The only problem when you add more potatoes is that the starch from the potatoes makes the sauce thicker, so you might need to add more water to it, but that's really the only issue. You may or may not know this, but when you leave potatoes out, they turn black. So that's why I have the bowl of water to put them in after I'm done cooking them. And I also put them in that bowl of water after I peeled them because nobody wants to be eating black potatoes. Try not to cut the potatoes too small. The smaller they are, the faster they'll cook, and you don't want mushy potatoes at all. Now that I've finished prepping everything, we're gonna move on to the actual cooking part. We're gonna start using the stove. We're gonna start heating things up. Let's go to the stove. I put the pot on medium heat, and the first thing I'm gonna put in is the butter so that we can saute our garlic and our onions. This is about 2 tablespoons of butter. In order to coat the bottom of the pan, move the pot around to swirl the butter around. Here, I'm adding the onions and the garlic first to caramelize on the bottom of the pan. I'm not going to add the red peppers yet because if you add them too early, they get too soggy, and you kind of still want them to have a shape and have a taste and crunch by the time you get to the end of the recipe. At this point, you can just leave the garlic and the onions in the pot to saute, stirring occasionally so that they begin to get their color and collect the flavor on the bottom of the pan. A little bit of burn is good, but not too much. You can add the garlic into the mix at this point and let it sit and saute with the onions and the garlic. So for about 6 to 8 minutes, you're just gonna allow the ginger, the garlic, and the onions to saute in the pan, stirring occasionally so that they pick up color and collect the flavor on the bottom of the pan, as I mentioned before. If you watch carefully, you can see bits and pieces that are brown and the onions picking up color. It looks so good. When you're just about to start the sauce, that is when you put in the red peppers, because this is the perfect timing to allow them to still have a taste, a shape, and a color at the end of the recipe. Now, when you add the coconut milk, it lifts all the flavor and the color and the seasoning off of the bottom of the pan. As you can see, once I poured the milk in, it changed to a different color. Now you're just gonna add a couple pieces of thyme. After you add thyme, don't let it just sit on top of the coconut milk. Mix it in so that it is submerged in the coconut milk. I decided to add a pinch of ground pimento, but you can just put the seeds in. You don't have to put the ground pimento. I'll be using Jamaican curry powder. It is very important to remember that different types of curry have different tastes. Make sure you completely mix the curry powder in so that the sauce takes the color of it. As you can see, the more I mix, the more the sauce turns to a yellowish, goldish kind of color. I added a little bit of paprika to help with the color. This curry that I'm adding this time is included in the 1/4 cup of curry that I think you would need to flavor 2 cans of coconut milk. The measurements that I am giving you are just a starting place of where to start with these ingredients. Sometimes from tasting it, you'll be able to know if you need to add more curry powder, or looking at it. Like, it was a little pale, so I added more curry powder. For extra flavor, this is when sprinkling your favorite all-purpose seasoning comes in. I like my curry with a spice to it, so I'm going to add more pepper flakes than someone who would not like a kick in their curry. So that, and as well as the cayenne pepper too, those two things are going to add spice to the dish. And if you're not a fan of spice, I highly recommend that you do not put too much, especially with the red pepper flakes. A little bit goes a long way. Now you see, after I tasted it, I saw what it was in need of, and it was in need of a little more flavor, so I added the all-purpose seasoning and more spice as well. You want to add the potatoes about 15 minutes before the sauce is done. Remember, if you leave them in there too long, they get mushy. You do have to let the sauce cook a little before you add the potatoes, because the taste will change after all the flavors have combined after sitting on the stove and simmering for a little bit. So do not add the potatoes until you've reached your desired taste after you've let it simmer for a little bit. So while you're letting the potatoes cook for the 8 minutes, you're going to uncover it for a couple times during the 8 minutes, just to stir everything around and make sure nothing is sticking to the bottom of the pot. After the 8 minutes have passed, that is when you're going to add the shrimp. I left the shrimp marinating in the fridge for like an hour or two, and that, will help the shrimp absorb the flavor from the curry and the red pepper flakes and everything else that I put into it when I seasoned it. So it's a good idea to let the shrimp marinate before you use it. Once you add the shrimp, mix it around to coat it evenly in the sauce. Spread it out evenly throughout the pan, and then after you've done that, you can cover the pot back. Set a timer for 8 to 10 minutes while you let the shrimp cook. Shrimp cooks really fast, so if you turned down the heat to low, it may take longer than 8 to 10 minutes, but if you turned it up, it may take less than 8 to 10 minutes, maybe more like 6 to 8 minutes. Again, you should be stirring occasionally, and make sure that every time you finish stirring, you spread out the vegetables and the shrimp and the potato throughout the pot so that it's not all bunched up on one side. The scallions is the last thing you add to the dish, almost like a garnish, so that it can add a nice color contrast, and it does really have a nice taste as well. But you don't want it to sit in the pot so long that it kills it and they don't have no shape or no taste or no real color to it. As you'll see, I'm just tasting a shrimp to make sure that it is almost done cooking and to make sure I like the sauce. I figured it needed a little more brown sugar, so I added it. Taste testing is a very important part of this dish. I'm going to leave the ingredients and suggested measurements for each ingredient in the description box for you guys, and some cues on how you'll know what to add and when. We're all done! Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you want to see more, and I hope that you guys enjoyed this and learned how to make this. Please try it. Please let me know how it goes. Love you guys lots. Later, y'all.